So developing a sales and marketing plan. So obviously we want to start with a revenue goal. Everybody always thinks about that, but it's surprising to me, even though it's thought about, how many people don't have a crystal clear number that is agreeable with their business. So they may say that they want to grow by $1 million, but do you have the infrastructure in place to do that? Do you understand what $1 million looks like when it's translated into other business numbers? So $1 million is nice. How many customers is that? How much square footage is that? How much investment will that take in order to accomplish that? So you really want to make sure that you dive into it. So if we just use the $1 million mark and say that, all right, we know our customer value has been $500 annually. We know it's 2,000 customers. So I math right on that.
It's afternoon time for me, Rob. My math's going.
So you're going to need, so you want to know, all right, so if we do get 2,000 customers, are we going to be able to service 2,000 customers? With that being said, how much of that needs to be prepaid in order to be able to pay for the infrastructure to service those customers? So it's not just a matter of getting customers, because you can get customers and it can backfire and end up being a waste of money at the same time, because and I can give you a very clear example. One time when we were in business and we were $1 million lawn care company focused strictly on residential. We wanted to become a $2 million lawn care company, and we decided to take on commercial work. We immediately, within, I would say, 3 months, acquired $1 million worth of commercial work. And we quickly realized that it was not the same thing. And it was very difficult to service. We actually grew, we doubled our business, and our profitability went down. So, and not just down like in a percentage point, like we literally had less profit with twice the amount of revenue. So be careful what you wish for sometimes, and make sure that your goal is very clearly defined. Knowing what your cost per sale is very critical, because frankly there's different value for different customers. If you see down at the bottom, the bullet point there, it's Golden Street approach, and we'll get to that. But what we want to focus on is, do you know what the value of your current customers are, and do you know which customers are more valuable than others? Because if you can focus on which customers have higher value, you're willing to spend more money to get those customers. We mentioned referrals. One of the reasons why referrals are good is because of the difference in profitability in getting a neighbor versus someone that's the first customer on the street. So that's something that in cost per sale to make sure that you're aware of. What's your budget? I mentioned prepays. Prepays is a way to circumvent part of your budget, because as you're getting new sales, if you have a certain percentage of customers that are prepaying, that in essence can be paying for some of your sales and marketing efforts, and you can potentially increase your budget with that number. A content calendar is critical. You want to make sure that you have pre-planned valid information for your customers, and that you are not behind on any of your marketing efforts. I can tell you that in my time in lawn care, we've had a lot of great ideas a week too late. And it wasn't really until the following season that we could take advantage of it. Whether it was a Father's Day special, or a Halloween aeration and seeding special, or something like that, we would find that we would miss opportunities like Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day just came and went. And a good example of having content ready is the last second opportunity for a spouse to get that as get lawn care package as a present for their spouse, so that they don't have to do it. Husband or wife, doesn't matter, whoever's responsible for it. But if somebody's searching for a gift to give somebody, be the thing that's in front of them, be the advertisement that's there. You know, we see the commercials on TV adapt for the holidays that are coming up and the seasonal changes. You have to be prepared to do the same thing. And then pay attention to what your competition is doing, because if you see that your competition is um, taking a particular angle that you're not, and they suddenly seem like they are gaining market share faster than you want to make sure that you know what they're doing. And that's pretty. It's a pretty simple approach, but you always want to know. You want to follow them on their social media. You want to be aware of everything that they're doing. And then the Golden Street approach, you know, and going back to the cost per sale, you know, the Golden Street approach is really at a high level focusing on your most profitable customers and most profitable prospects. Katie, do we have there's a slide later
Yeah,
for this?
for
Okay.
most of these.
Okay, let's
That's okay.
so the content calendar. So we want to make sure that we plan out things quarterly, monthly, weekly. It all depends on how fast you want to keep content in front of your clients or your prospects. Lee, what have you found as far as the timing that has worked for you on a content calendar?
As far as putting out like social media content or reaching out, as far as can you define that for me, Rob?
Well, let's just focus on social media because that's something that everybody can do very easily.
Well, I found that just dealing with the Facebook page and putting things out daily for the first few weeks, and it was really just a test run to see what kind of feedback we got. It turned out that most of the content that was being viewed between 4 a.m. in the morning and roughly 9 a.m. in the morning. And then there was a drop off until the evening when everybody got off work. So we found if we started, making some posts and doing some things more along the lines of midnight, 1 o'clock. I know it's kind of late, but having that stuff out there for it to be fresh in that early morning hour, I guess, when most people are getting up to go to work, they've sat down for coffee, they're looking at Facebook in the bathroom. I found that getting that stuff out there as late as possible the night before allows it to be seen the most as early as possible in the morning. And with no marketing plan as far as the Facebook, the social media goes, other than just put our stuff out there and be as honest as we can be about it, has really worked out well for us.
Okay, that's great. And there's one thing I want to highlight here. We have Katie with us, and everybody's heard Katie on here. And Katie's going to try and fly below the radar right now. But the reason that you're all on this webinar is because of Katie's marketing. And Katie does all of the marketing for Holganix. So she has a significant amount of experience with this. So Katie, when you're setting up a campaign for something like this, you pre-plan all the timing of when those drops are happening, right?
Yeah, and I use multiple channels. So it's not just social media that I'm hitting guys on. It's email. It's letting my sales guys know so they can make the phone calls. They're the ones that have the relationships with our customers.
Mm-hmm.
And planning it all out in advance. A lot of our stuff, which this is a bit taboo if you do this too much, but a lot of our stuff is scheduled out in advance. So right now, Robot Katie is posting on Facebook. I'm not posting on Facebook, but it frees me up as a one-person marketing team to be working on other things at the same time. So that's another reason why the content calendar is so crucial. And I really love the templates offered by HubSpot. We use HubSpot as a content marketing solution software, and they have a lot of free resources. Their content, they call them editorial calendars, but they have several different versions that are really great. They have another one that's specific to social media even, that's awesome.
Yeah, why don't you take us through just these examples?
Yeah, these are just examples of different companies, and I liked this one specifically because I'm all about being visual, and this is broken down by actual channel that they were using. So this goes by the week. So this is a week of their content calendar. And this one, I'm also a big fan of Post-it notes. So this one, literally, they printed out a basic annual calendar and they broke it up by month. And they said, these are the big campaigns we're going to be focused on. And these are the different elements we're going to pull in order to make that happen. You can see blogging is super important to them, but they got stuff on video and email and such as well.
Okay, awesome. And I mean, you can do it with just a piece of paper and a pen.
Definitely. It does not have to look pretty.
And that's usually how ours start.
Oh,
is
yeah.
by paper and pen, and then we start to get a little fancier, a little bit more organized. A quick question before we move on to the Golden Street. Touch points for when you do a campaign. Do you have a minimum and maximum that you kind of, when you're focused on one thing, like just take, for example, a webinar?
Right.
What's the minimum amount of touch points to do to even get a result, and maximum amount of touch points where it would possibly be annoying?
So they say that something like 8 or 9 touches as a frequency is somehow this magical number. You guys that are on this may have been had 3 to 8 touch points, depending on how engaged you are with our social media. So when it comes to something that's forgive me guys, a low risk offer like a webinar, I'm trying to sell you to come onto our webinar as opposed to buying our product. That's going to be less touch points, especially since we're not really talking about our product on here. We're talking about marketing and sales.
Yep.
So creating value added content that's low risk offer is going to be much less touches in order to see a return versus something like buy Holganix.
Yeah.
You know.
Lee, when same question for you on touch points when it comes to acquiring a new lawn care customer.
I guess it would depend. It would depend on which way you're going at it, but it as like a door knock or a cold call. A lot of those can be transitioned with one touch, but it also depends on the amount of objections and rebuttals you're prepared with. So, as far as one touch, you can knock on the door and somebody can tell you no 7 times. So you might have had to take 8 objections, but it's still a one touch sale. Some of these, I mean, the majority of our sales come really from that is just, a one sale close and confirming service and moving along, because it isn't a huge decision to be made as far as when you break down it's a luxury service, it's being paid for already. And if you believe you are the best, there's no reason to come back for a second attempt. So as far as the cold leads, you really want to attack that hard and present your product and your service. As far as like I've seen with our marketing and sending letters out, sometimes it takes 3, 4, or 5 times calling back. So I would say the 6 to 8 number probably is right where it would land, as Katie said before.
Yeah. And I would make sure that when you are creating a marketing plan and developing that calendar, classify your activities into indirect and direct marketing. That's 2 really important categories to balance out, because indirect marketing, in Lee's approach, where he was saying that you can do a one hit close. That is very possible, but it's also reinforced through indirect marketing, seeing the trucks out on at the neighbor's property or on their street, and having it be noticeable. Having social media posts, but they may not click through. But you through indirect marketing, you're developing a presence. Direct marketing is literally asking for the activity. So that's closing time. When you're trying to get into a response. When you get a response, then it's go time, and you fall right into Lee's example of making sure that you have your rebuttals ready, because the quickest way to get a sale is to be able to answer questions and rebuttal problems, rather than making a second or third phone call. And basically reintroducing yourself and reestablishing trust. So make sure that you have those rebuttals. And if you're working with a sales team, that you do rebuttal work every single day before you hop on the phones. So hey, what did we hear yesterday? What was the best way to handle that? Make sure everybody's in agreement so that the communication's consistent and concise and accurate, because you don't want to promise something that you can't deliver. So in going to the Golden Street approach, so basically when I was in lawn care previously, we were growing at a very fast rate, and we were paying for every sale that we were making, and we had about a $100 acquisition fee for every new customer. And we thought we had our system down because we had uh, days that we would sell 100 customers. We had a large sales team. We were at about 20 salespeople. But with that being said, we eventually realized that we were getting customers that weren't our ideal customers. So we started to put a lot of focus into who is our ideal customer and how do we get them. So that's when we came up with the Golden Street approach. We classified our customers based on certain demographics, whether it was property size, home value, dual income, whether they had lawn service before. But geographically was probably one of the most important things. If we had a customer on that street, if we had more than one customer on a specific street, we pounded the marketing on that street, because the profitability of the potential customers that we were going to get on that street, because we already had customers there, would increase by 50%. So say that you have a customer that's $100 an application and you're making $50 on the application. Their neighbor, you're going to make $75 on the application. So you're willing to spend a little bit more to get the right customer, especially when you start getting streets where you have 5, 6, 10 customers, and you can treat them all in one stop. Because windshield time, no matter which aspect of lawn and landscape we're talking about, windshield time is the killer. It's the killer for doing sales. It's the killer for doing your production, for service calls. The more windshield time you have, the harder it is to become profitable. So spend your marketing dollars on the Golden Streets. Make sure you identify who your ideal customer is in your area and where your best customers are. We did it as simply as we had 4 different classifications of customers. We had A, B, C, and X. And one other thing that we did with them that was interesting was that we offered different pricing for those customers. So our A-level customers not only did not get a price increase, they got a customer loyalty discount. We would show them what they were valued at as far as their property service, and then we would discount that so that they saw that they were getting a better bang for the buck. And then our B and Cs, we would do different level price increases each year. So say that our B customers were at a 2% price increase, and our C level customers were at a 4% price increase. And then the X customers, we would do a really high price increase because we weren't really trying to keep them as a customer, because it either wasn't profitable enough to steal time away from the other customers, the A, B, and C's that we had, or it was completely counterproductive and we really needed to get rid of them or run the price up. So spend time on the Golden Streets, identifying who your customers are and how you're going to acquire that customer.
And we'll have a video and a blog on this topic as well.
Okay. So we had mentioned the competition before. Making sure that you are aware of their social media. There's nothing stopping you from following them on social media. And Katie, I want you to elaborate on the Google alerts for your competition.
So you can set up Google alerts on yourself. So for example, we have one set up for Holganix. So for whenever Holganix is mentioned, doesn't have to be by us that's doing the mentioning, it could be by somebody else. But we also have them set up for our competition.
Okay.
So we know if they're putting out a press release or if somebody's talking about them online.
Right. And so not only for us, but for any of our competitors, and see what they're just talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Lee, have you done anything along those lines? Just to, and not just those lines. What are other ways that you pay attention to the competition?
Well, as you've got to know me, Rob, we're pretty possessive with our customers and our market. And the reason is because of obviously the program that you've helped provide us here. But the thing about it is it really comes back to, like you said in the beginning, how fast you want to go. Because these are simple steps that you put into place that get immediate results, and the results come fast. So like the golden streets, if you really target the golden streets and you treat your technicians also like your salespeople, and you allow them to, you know, stop by the neighbor's house, allow them more time. If you're able to do those things, you're going to be able to generate sales immediately. Because if you're, say, you guys do, I mean, if there's door knocking going on, you come back through after the technicians already stopped by, said hello. The lawn looks good next door if you're doing a good job. Um, as far as the competition goes, we look at everybody. We look at everybody because we don't claim to be the best at everything. So we want to pay attention to all the good stuff that everybody's doing. And really, if you're being kind to your competition, there's no reason that competition can't work together. So that's kind of the way we feel about things as far as that goes.
Okay, cool.